Filipinos and friends around the world. Former President of the Philippines, Fidel V. Ramos, has just died at the age of 94 years old, apparently due to complications from COVID 19. There's actually conflicting information about that. Outlets did report that he died of COVID 19, but there was an interview with a relative, and she revealed that President Ramos died of organ failure, although it could have been caused by COVID 19. I wanted to talk about him because of the incredible contributions he actually made to the country. I have never met the man, but I can't help but marvel at his achievements. There was a certain genius to him, I felt, a certain brilliance that was, in a way, understated. Admittedly, this comes from someone who was an observer from afar, because I was already living here in the States when he was the president. This was in 1992. That was when he was elected to the office. Yet, as a political operator and reading his exploits in the news, I felt that his instincts, his judgment, and his sense of timing were impeccable, because he stayed in power for a very long time. Uh, he started during the Marcos administration, and then to the next administration of President Corazon Aquino, until he became the president afterwards. So during the Marcos Sr. administration, he rose to the highest ranks, serving as the chief of the Philippine Constabulary. In those days, that was the National Police. The PC, as they used to call it, was established by the Americans, and I think it was in 1907 when this happened. This was when the Philippines was still a territory of the United States, and so the Philippine Constabulary was the insular law enforcement agency, and he became the chief of the PC. Finally, he became the vice chief of staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines during the Marcos administration. He was the president's second cousin, and they go a long way, because during the Second World War, they both served in a group they called Maharlika, and they were fighting the Japanese as guerrilla fighters. But ultimately, he actually co-led the uprising that toppled and sent President Marcos into exile in 1986. This swept Corazon Aquino into the presidency. Then during the Aquino administration, Ramos became the chief of staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines until he was ultimately promoted to Secretary of Defense. Those were very, very tough days. The revolutionary nature of the Corazon Aquino administration brought with it intense strife, challenges that seemed insurmountable, and uncertainty that marred the entire time that she was in office. And so it opened the door for someone who could bring order across the land, but not without the political drama and intrigue. For the 1992 election, Ramos announced his presidential candidacy in December of 1991, so the last month of the year prior to the election year. But midway during the campaigning, he left his party, the LDP, Laban ng Demokratikong Pilipinas, or Filipino, crying foul and alleging improprieties. He founded his own party, the PLT, Partido Lakas Tao, and somehow find a way to emerge victorious. That was remarkable in and of itself, considering the short span of time that he had to create a political machinery to have a credible political campaign. But most notable among the many intrigues was the allegation that Libyan President Muammar Gaddafi contributed 5 million pesos to his campaign. Of course, a charge that Ramos has denied as nothing more than hearsay. Uh, I thought that was quite interesting, but uh, it had very little credibility considering uh, his position in Philippine society in those days. He was a military guy and certainly was supported by uh, all sectors of the society. Um, so he was a West Pointer as well. Um, he also spent his entire life serving the public, but as a way of according him his just reward, the Philippines or the Filipinos uh, sent him to Malacanang, and he was elected as the 12th president of the country. That was quite interesting. Now, his administration was has been acknowledged to have made incredible contributions to the economy and the growth of the Philippines. It was said that more than any other president before or since, he traveled and met with heads of states of other countries, trying to engage them in trade agreements to help grow the economy of the Philippines. But recently, he was accorded this incredible salute by President Marcos Jr., who declared the next 10 days after his death to be a time of mourning for the nation. I thought it was quite interesting. It may be the sign of healing for the country, because in such an act we see here forgiveness and things like that are exactly what the country needs if it is to unite. And so most people will find that not only interesting but inspiring, as I do. And so President Fidel V. Ramos, dead at the age of 94. So we here at 7600 Islands offer his family and those left behind our deepest sympathies. And may he rest in peace.